Death is not the end, it's a doorway to a mystery that has captivated humanity for millennia. What happens when we leave our physical form behind? Does the way we treat the body after death shape the soul's path in the afterlife? Today, we dive into the spiritual consequences of cremation, drawing on ancient wisdom, modern experiences, and the profound insights of Edgar Cayce. This isn't just about what happens to the body, it's about the soul's sacred transition and how our choices ripple into the eternal. From disorientation caused by rapid cremation to the energetic imprints left in ashes, we'll explore how to honor this profound journey with intention and reverence. Let's embark on this exploration together, uncovering truths that bridge the physical and spiritual realms. When a loved one passes, we often focus on the physical, arranging funerals, choosing burial or cremation, but what about the soul? Ancient traditions teach us that death is a process, not a single moment. The soul doesn't just flip a switch and leave, it gradually untethers from the body, like a ship slowly drifting from its moorings. Edgar Cayce, the renowned mystic, described this as a gentle untethering, a sacred rhythm that allows consciousness to adjust to its new reality. This process can take days, as the soul lingers near its physical vessel, processing its departure. Cremation, however, accelerates this timeline dramatically. The body, which serves as a familiar anchor for the soul, is transformed into ash within hours. This sudden shift can create a kind of spiritual whiplash. Imagine waking up to find your home gone, walls, furniture, everything reduced to rubble. For the soul, the body is that home, a reference point for navigating the transition. When it's destroyed quickly, the soul might struggle to orient itself, like a traveler lost without landmarks. This isn't about eternal consequences, the soul is infinite and will find its way. But the initial phase of transition can be jarring, leaving the consciousness in a state of confusion. I've spoken with families who've shared haunting stories of loved ones appearing in dreams after cremation, seeming restless or searching for something lost. One woman told me about her brother, whose ashes were scattered the day after his passing. For weeks, she dreamt of him wandering, asking, "Where am I supposed to go?" These experiences suggest the soul is still tethered to the physical plane, seeking the body it once knew. Ancient cultures understood this. The Egyptians mummified bodies not just for tradition but to give the soul time to adjust. Tibetan Buddhists often wait days before cremation, performing rituals to guide the consciousness. These practices weren't superstition, they were spiritual technologies designed to ease the soul's journey. Modern society, in contrast, often prioritizes efficiency. We cremate quickly, driven by practicality or environmental concerns, but we rarely consider the metaphysical impact. This doesn't mean cremation is wrong, it's a valid choice with many benefits, but it requires us to think beyond the physical. By understanding the soul's need for a gradual transition, we can incorporate practices like meditation or prayer before cremation, helping the soul find peace in its new state. This balance of practical and spiritual considerations allows us to honor both the body and the eternal essence it once housed. Cremation doesn't just destroy the body, it transforms it into something new. The ashes aren't just dust, they carry an energetic signature, a subtle vibration that lingers long after the flames subside. This isn't mystical nonsense, it's a phenomenon reported across cultures and by sensitive individuals who feel a distinct presence around cremated remains. Unlike a buried body, which decomposes slowly and releases its energy gradually, cremation creates a concentrated, intensified field. This field can act as a focal point for the soul's awareness, anchoring it to specific places or objects. I recall a client who kept her mother's ashes in a garden urn. She noticed that flowers near the urn bloomed with unusual vibrancy, while electronics in the same area flickered or failed. This wasn't coincidence, it was the energetic imprint of her mother's consciousness interacting with the physical world. The ashes, transformed by fire, hold a unique resonance, like a radio signal tuned to the soul's frequency. This connection isn't about the soul being trapped, rather, it's a bridge between realms, allowing the departed to maintain a subtle presence. This energetic reality has practical implications. Families who keep ashes in their homes often report feeling closer to their loved ones, especially when the remains are treated with reverence. A simple altar with photos, candles, or flowers can amplify this connection, creating a sacred space for ongoing communication. But when ashes are neglected, tucked away in a closet or forgotten, the energy can become stagnant, leading to feelings of unease. One family I worked with described a heavy atmosphere in their home after storing their grandfather's ashes in a basement box. When they created a dedicated space with intentional rituals, the heaviness lifted, and they began experiencing dreams of their grandfather at peace. Scattering ashes adds another layer of complexity. When remains are dispersed across multiple locations, the soul's energetic signature can fragment, potentially pulling its awareness in different directions. Some traditions warn that this can create spiritual confusion, especially if the soul hasn't fully detached. I've advised families to keep most ashes in one place, using only small portions for scattering in meaningful locations. This balances the emotional need to honor specific places with the spiritual need for energetic coherence. For example, a man I counseled scattered a portion of his wife's ashes in the ocean she loved, while keeping the rest in a home urn. He reported feeling her presence in both places, but the urn felt like a stronger anchor. The key is intention. Ashes respond to the consciousness directed toward them. When treated with love and respect, they become conduits for connection. When ignored or mishandled, their potential remains untapped. This underscores a broader truth: our actions in the physical world shape the spiritual landscape, influencing how the soul navigates its journey. Humanity has long recognized the spiritual stakes of death. Ancient cultures didn't treat death as an event but as a journey requiring guidance. Egyptian mummification, Tibetan sky burials, Native American four-day rituals, these weren't random traditions but sophisticated systems to support the soul. They understood that the body's treatment affects the consciousness it once held. Cremation, while ancient in some cultures, was often delayed or paired with rituals to ensure the soul's smooth passage. Today, we've largely abandoned these practices for convenience. Immediate cremation, often within hours of death, is common in many places, driven by cost, space, or environmental concerns. But this speed can disrupt the soul's natural rhythm. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, for instance, describes a 49-day journey through transitional states called bardas, where the soul gradually releases its attachment to the physical. Rapid cremation compresses this process, potentially causing what some call transition shock. I've heard accounts from mediums who describe souls expressing confusion after quick cremations, as if they're still looking for their physical form. This doesn't mean we should avoid cremation; it's a practical and eco-friendly option for many. But we can learn from ancient wisdom to bridge the gap. Simple rituals, like a moment of silence or a prayer before cremation, can prepare the soul for the transformation. I once worked with a family who held a small ceremony before their father's cremation, reciting passages from his favorite spiritual texts. They later reported dreams where he appeared calm and oriented, suggesting the ritual eased his transition. These practices don't require dogma; they're about honoring the soul's need for time and intention. Modern science often dismisses these ideas, reducing ashes to inert matter. But science doesn't yet fully grasp consciousness or its relationship to the physical. Spiritual traditions, backed by countless anecdotal experiences, suggest that the body's energy field persists after death, acting as a temporary anchor for the soul. By blending ancient practices with modern choices, we can create a more harmonious transition, ensuring the soul moves forward with clarity and peace. Can we prepare the soul for cremation's rapid transformation? Absolutely. Spiritual preparation before death can make all the difference. Edgar Cayce emphasized the importance of conscious awareness during life's transitions, teaching that meditation and reflection on the soul's eternal nature can ease its departure. When someone understands their body as a temporary vessel, they're less likely to cling to it after death, reducing the risk of disorientation during cremation. For those nearing the end of life, practices like guided meditation or energy work can align the consciousness with its spiritual essence. I've guided clients through visualizations where they imagine releasing their physical form, affirming their soul's freedom. One woman, preparing for her own passing, practiced daily meditations focusing on her eternal nature. After her cremation, her family reported peaceful dreams where she appeared radiant, suggesting her preparation smoothed the transition. For those supporting loved ones, preparation is equally vital. Holding space for the departed, through prayer, meditation, or rituals, can guide the soul. A client once shared how she sat with her mother's body for an hour before cremation, silently affirming her mother's journey to the light. She later felt an overwhelming sense of peace, as if her mother had acknowledged the gesture. These acts don't require advanced spiritual knowledge, just intention and love. Preparation also extends to how we handle ashes. Creating a sacred space, whether an urn on an altar or a memorial garden, keeps the energetic connection alive. Regular moments of remembrance, like lighting a candle or speaking to the departed, maintain this bond. These practices remind us that death doesn't sever relationships, it transforms them. By preparing consciously, we ensure the soul's journey is one of grace, not confusion. Scattering ashes is a deeply personal act, often chosen to honor a loved one's connection to a place. But spiritually, it's complex. When ashes are spread across multiple sites, say, an ocean, a mountain, a childhood home, the soul's energetic signature can fragment. Some traditions suggest this pulls the consciousness in different directions, delaying its full release into the spiritual realms. I've worked with families who sense this fragmentation, describing dreams where their loved ones seemed torn between locations. One case involved a man whose ashes were divided between a river and a family cabin. His children reported conflicting experiences. One felt his presence strongly by the river, another at the cabin, but neither felt a unified connection. After consulting with a spiritual advisor, they performed a ritual to reunite the energy, focusing their intentions on a single memorial site. The dreams that followed were more cohesive, suggesting the soul had found greater clarity. This doesn't mean scattering is harmful, it can be beautiful and meaningful. The key is intention and ceremony. A family I know scattered their sister's ashes in a forest she loved, accompanied by a group meditation and words of release. They later felt her presence integrated with the landscape, as if her energy had merged harmoniously with nature. This intentional approach aligns the physical act with the soul's spiritual needs. For those considering scattering, I recommend keeping a portion of ashes in a central location, like an urn or memorial object. This provides an energetic anchor while allowing symbolic dispersion. The act of scattering should be paired with rituals, perhaps a prayer, a song, or a moment of silence, to guide the soul toward unity, not fragmentation. By approaching scattering with reverence, we honor both the departed and the living, creating a bridge between worlds. Fire is more than a tool for cremation, it's a universal symbol of transformation. Across cultures, fire represents purification, release, and the shift from one state to another. In spiritual terms, cremation's fire can accelerate the soul's evolution, burning away residual attachments to the physical. This is why some traditions view cremation as a sacred act, a catalyst for the soul's ascent to higher realms. But this acceleration comes with challenges. The rapid transformation can outpace the soul's readiness, especially if death was sudden or the person wasn't spiritually prepared. I've heard accounts from mediums describing souls who, post-cremation, seemed to move quickly through spiritual realms but struggled with initial disorientation. One medium shared a message from a man who watched his cremation and felt a surge of freedom, yet also confusion, as his physical anchor vanished abruptly. This transformative power of fire highlights the need for balance. Cremation can be a beautiful choice, aligning with the soul's desire for release, but it requires preparation to avoid spiritual shock. Rituals that acknowledge fire's purifying role, like lighting a ceremonial flame or reciting prayers during cremation, can align the process with its spiritual potential. Fire doesn't just destroy, it liberates. By harnessing its energy consciously, we help the soul embrace its new journey. What does the soul experience during cremation? While we can't know definitively, insights from mediums, mystics, and spiritual traditions offer clues. Many report that souls observe their cremation from an external perspective, witnessing the body's transformation as a step toward recognizing their non-physical nature. This observation can be liberating, helping the soul detach from its former identity. A medium I worked with shared a message from a woman who described watching her cremation with fascination, as if seeing her body dissolve confirmed her freedom. But not all experiences are so smooth. Souls unprepared for death, perhaps due to sudden passing or lack of spiritual awareness, may feel disoriented by the rapid change. One family reported dreams of their uncle, cremated hours after a heart attack, appearing confused and asking, "What happened to me?" After they held a memorial ritual, his dream appearances became calmer, suggesting he'd found his bearings. These accounts point to a broader truth: the soul's journey is influenced by how we handle the body. Cremation doesn't trap the soul, but it shapes its initial experience. By pairing cremation with rituals, like guided meditations or prayers, we create a roadmap for the soul, helping it navigate the transition with clarity and purpose. Death doesn't end our relationships with loved ones, it transforms them. Cremated remains, with their unique energetic signature, can serve as a conduit for ongoing connection. Families who maintain intentional relationships with ashes often report vivid dreams, intuitive guidance, or a sense of presence. A woman I counseled kept her son's ashes in a small urn, surrounded by his favorite books. She described moments of sudden clarity, as if he were guiding her through decisions, a connection she attributed to the urn's energy. This connection isn't about clinging to the past but about honoring the soul's continued presence. Simple acts, like speaking to the departed, lighting a candle, or placing ashes in a meaningful location, can keep this bond alive. Conversely, neglecting ashes can disrupt this connection, leading to feelings of disconnection or unease. A family who stored their aunt's ashes in a garage reported persistent tension until they created a dedicated memorial space, after which they felt her presence more clearly. The key is mindfulness. By treating ashes with reverence, we create a bridge between the physical and spiritual, allowing love to flow across realms. This ongoing relationship reminds us that the soul's journey continues, and our role is to support it with intention and care. How can we ensure cremation supports the soul's journey? It starts with preparation and intention. For those nearing death, practices like meditation, prayer, or energy work can prepare the consciousness for transition. Families can support this by holding space before cremation, perhaps through a vigil, a reading of sacred texts, or a moment of silence. These acts create a spiritual container for the soul's departure. After cremation, treat ashes with care. Create a sacred space, whether an urn on an altar or a garden memorial. Engage in regular remembrance, like lighting a candle or sharing stories of the departed. If scattering ashes, do so with ceremony, focusing on the soul's release and unity. One family I know scattered their mother's ashes in a lake, accompanied by a song she loved, and reported feeling her peace afterward. These steps don't require advanced spiritual knowledge, just a willingness to honor the soul's journey. By blending ancient wisdom with modern practices, we can ensure cremation becomes a sacred act, guiding the soul toward its next chapter with love and clarity. Cremation is more than a practical choice, it's a spiritual act with profound implications. By understanding the soul's need for a gradual transition, the energetic properties of ashes, and the transformative power of fire, we can make informed choices that honor both the physical and metaphysical. Whether through rituals, preparation, or intentional handling of remains, we have the power to ease the soul's journey, creating harmony across realms. This exploration invites us to approach death with reverence, not fear. The soul is eternal, unbound by the body's fate, but our actions can shape its path. As we navigate these mysteries, let's do so with love, intention, and wisdom, ensuring that every transition is a step toward greater light. Join me in this sure